Hey guys, what's up? It's Zola, and today we're going to be continuing to look at the generators in here. So the beauty of this and the generators, as you can see, is that I'm starting with a blank project, because all these effects, as I explained in the first one, are generated by either audio or just from solids or like effects. And what I'm doing here is I'm just scanning my don't let me down, my MP3 library, because I'm going to be showing you some stuff with some MP3s. So I brought in an MP3. I'm going to put it down here. It doesn't matter what it is, because our following effects are going to be the ones which are generated from audio. So what I've done here is, again, I've got a solid and I've dropped my audio spectrum. Now these two, audio spectrum and waveform, work very similarly to each other. So what I'm going to do is pull out the 2 points here, and we need to give it an MP3 or an audio file to play with. So as you can see, I've got Don't Let Me Down here. So it has to be in the comp, so make sure you've got it in the comp. Turn the sound off if you don't want to hear it. It will still work. And as you can see now, we've got some animation. And the powerful thing with this is there's so many options to play with. So we've got your start frequency, end frequency, got how many bands, which is how thick this part is in the middle. And you might already start to recognize this effect as being kind of like the one they did in the Justin Timberlake, I think it was Love Stones video from like 2-3 years ago. I'm really lazily changing the colors because I can't be bothered changing these two at once. So you got the how long the audio lasts, you got the thickness of these things. So as you can see, as you make it thicker, they become not quite as visually pleasing. So my recommendation is, if you want to make them thicker, I would add a glow separately and just just find your glow and drop that on, and then kind of work with it that way. And then you can even stack your glows, so duplicate, and then as many as you need. But this is a far prettier way, I think, to create a more thicker effect. And this is one tip that I'm definitely going to recommend, is stacking glows. You get because this way you're able to make a far more beautiful fall off in terms of the glow than you would if you were trying to kind of achieve a similar effect with this. So if I was trying to do the same thing, you'd be like, I need to make it brighter, I need to bring the... It's basically a nightmare. So yeah, definitely stack your glows. As you can see, we've got a nice glow going on here, nice and soft. So let's carry on looking at some of these options. So we got the softness, which is the softness of the actual band itself. If we come into here and bring this up and down, we can bring that in and out. Obviously the thickness is how thick the actual thing is. And for the audio offset, and this is just basically the timing in relation to your MP3. Here we can move the hue around, so we can actually give it more than one color as you go along the wheel, which is actually kind of cool. Because if you do something like a colorize, then you can maybe not colorize. I'm thinking of a toner. So if we come and bring a toner in, and I'm going to hide our hue saturation, and you can basically obviously the problem here being that we have our toner and then we have our glows, so we can drop this underneath. But you can select a range, and maybe if we bring this down to like 50 and then bring all of them into the oranges, you can kind of somewhat bring them into like an orange color range, or depending how many, you can turn the color symmetry off if you don't want the symmetry, so you can just have it kind of gradually happening from left to right. So really powerful tools here. And the even more powerful is duplicating this, and then what I like to do is then turn the audio spectrum off. And if we come back to our generators, you'll see that there's another audio effects here. So we've got audio waveforms. So if we drop this on, and I'm just going to close the stack here, remove it to the top so our glows happen afterwards. And once again, we're going to pull the points out so it fills the width of our comp. But in audio waveform now, you can have a look, and I'm going to turn the toner off here, and actually I'm going to turn the toner off in this other one. So toner, and and then come into the top one, and again it's going to ask for an audio layer, so we're going to say don't let me down audio. And so now we can see we've actually got these two kind of combining. If we come into the blend modes and maybe change this to screen, we can get it to actually burn through and brighten. Maybe we don't need all these glows on the top one, maybe just two will do. And yeah, the good thing about this is you have dots and lines, and dots and lines is great because you can have one version with dots maybe. So here I've got loads of dots, and displayed samples is how many dots you have. So the more samples you have the maximum height, so you can make these dots kind of jump up. And at this point you're going to have some like crazy stuff going on. And then what I would generally do is duplicate that again, come down here, and then maybe change from analog dots to lines, and then maybe just bring the height down a bit, maximum height. And then that way you'll kind of have a little dot on top of each peak, which is kind of cool. And yeah, you can basically see that if you combine like these two effects, that you can create something pretty cool. I mean, like right now I haven't really done anything properly with the colors, but if you were to just bring like a toner on top of everything afterwards, and then, you know, bring into, you can easily get let's just do the kind of love stone colors, which was more like in these colors, and then in the brights more like light blue. And you know, you can do some really cool combination effects if you really stack these generators. So definitely something I would recommend playing with when you're playing with the audio generators. So moving on, we are going to go back into generate, and we're going to have a look at the beam. And similarly to the other two that we've just looked at, we have a left and a right point, and you have a length, so that's how long this thing is. And this is generally like in the old school days how you would have created the lightsaber, because obviously as soon as you go into After Effects everyone wants to create a lightsaber, right? So you just do, you know, add your glow, and again kind of maybe stack your glows, and then maybe like increase the radius of the final one, and maybe bring the threshold down just to make it maybe up a bit, just to make it a bit hotter. So we've got a beam, and now we can go around and start. So you got the end thickness and the start thickness. So the first thing you can reckon, if we bring the length up to 100, so we've got this, so you can actually make it look like there's perspective on the line, which is kind of cool. So if you had this along the floor, you can maybe maybe have this and then just do the time. So the time is kind of where it is on here, and then you just animate the time, so from 0 to 100. And what that does is it when you get to 50 you have the full beam, and then from 50 to 100 it will kind of close up. So if I was to quickly add 2 keyframes to the start and end point here, and we play that, you'll see that the beam kind of comes in and then shoots past. And then obviously, as you guys know, we need to be adding some easing to that, but I'm not going to do that right now. The starting thickness, we can really pump this up if we want it to be drastic. And once again, you know, if you duplicate this layer, and I'm just going to do the lazy width, I'm just going to flip horizontal screen, you can create some pretty like neat laser effects using the beam. And I think it's kind of an unused tool, because once you add some glows on there and make them look nice, then, you know, this can be a really powerful tool to use to create some really kind of neat effects. So you know, if I added a third one down the middle, so if we add this, and then we come up to our beam, and we put our start point up here, and bring that down there, and then we have that there, you know, we've got a kind of like cool Triforce kind of effect going on as these kind of things. You might even want to move that one down and make it look like it's coming from the distance or whatever. So yeah, some really cool stuff you can do with these three, and I think that's going to do it for today. We've got 10 minutes and we've kind of covered audio and beams, which, you know, I'm going to combine this and just call this the laser beam tutorial because that's pretty much what we've been looking at today. I don't think there's anything else in the kind of laser beam section that I would want to show today. You know, we've got Let's have a quick look. No, I think we'll be alright. So thanks for watching, guys, as always, and I'll see you in the next lesson.